Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're back. We're back with Pastor Rosemary Winbush. I just had to take a water break. I said, I'm so looking forward to this conversation. And joining me, she hasn't been on the talk for a while, and she's back. She's back. Pastor Rosemary, what's going on, lady? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me back. It's always wonderful to talk to you.
Listen, I mean, so much has happened in the world. We've known each other for a
Mm.
while. I've been there in Jacksonville. We served together. We served in the Bahamas. We served in, what was it, North Carolina, Greensburg, or something like that. But we've done a number of things together.
Yeah.
And just to see, these changing times. How are you and your husband doing? And the weather there in Jacksonville? How are you guys?
We are doing very well. We're on the move all the time, which is good. So we're doing what God has called us to do. The weather here is beautiful today.
Mm-hmm.
I took a great walk, a little before we got on, so that was
Yep.
good and
Yep.
got refreshed. But everything is going well. I love the weather here. It's nice and it's not cool, but it's not hot. It's just kind of right for
Wow.
walking.
Good.
But
Good.
everything is going well.
We have a pretty cool weather here as well. It's pretty, I mean, almost today, some people would call it close to perfect. It has a little chill in it,
Mhm.
but the sun is nice and it's a good day for a walk, definitely.
Yeah. So, I took a last month in February, I did the virtual walk.
Okay.
We did
Okay.
it on Zoom. So I
Uh,
had people walking from California and New York. So it was really great. And here in
nice.
Jacksonville. So
Uh,
we could do it on Zoom. And at 5 o'clock on Sundays, we go out and walk for like 30, 40 minutes. And it was really
nice.
good. Yeah.
Nice. I like it. Isn't it amazing how creative we can now be to capitalize on so many different types of opportunities that once couldn't be something we would have embraced because clearly technology and all of so many other things did not meet these current times.
Yeah, I think that we can look at some negative things that happened during the pandemic, but we can also look at a lot of positive things that happen because I think even in crisis, God pushes us to find ways to do
Mm,
what He wants us to do, no matter what. So we become more creative. So the more the pressure, sometimes the more creative we can be because there's always a solution. God always has a solution for everything that is going on. So for me, I just use the technology to connect with more people. And I think that
yeah,
that's a great thing to train more people, to
yeah.
reach people across nations. I've got a great group over in Nigeria that I'm doing some stuff with. So, but all through technology. And I wouldn't have thought about that
Yeah.
so much unless the pandemic had come and pushed us to use these vehicles a lot more. Yeah.
You have been such an incredibly grounded person since I've met you. That even keeled person. Does Rosemary Wimbush have bad days?
I do.
Hey,
But
you
what
know,
they say, all of my good days outweigh my bad days,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
complain.
How would you say you keep it keep what they call level head though? How do you just obviously and I know life happens. I tell
Mhm.
people there's bumps in the road, but man, your attitude can be the attitude that they write a book of in regards to the right perspective in doing life because I've never seen you show any form of bad day type of way. And I think it's rooted in attitude, which is one of the greatest attributes I think for a person to have. And so, what keeps you level head? What keeps you grounded?
I really think I've adopted this philosophy and this mindset that in the end, everything is going to be okay. And so when I look at every day and I look at situations, I don't get so rattled because I know God is in control and I trust him in all things. And I sit back sometime to watch and see how he says he's going to work everything out for our good. So I'm always looking for the good. I intentionally do that. And I really mean it from the depths of my heart that whatever's happening, I'm just waiting for God to do something extraordinary. And
Mhm.
it's like in that little movie, The Incredibles. We know when he comes out, the kid comes outside and he says, "What are you looking at?" He said, "I don't know, something amazing." So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for God to do something amazing, and that
Yeah,
keeps me at that place in my life where I don't have to feel as though I'm getting anxious about anything or
yeah.
upset about anything because I trust God in all things.
Yeah. On this Wednesday evening, there are a lot of people who this is the midweek. They feel hopeless because somehow along the way they've conditioned themselves to let, some people dread Monday. And by Wednesday, they feel overspent. And by Friday, they're saying, thank God it's Friday. What do you say to that person who has not figured out how to balance it off and not allow themselves to go the way of the world where I hate Mondays. By Wednesdays, I'm burned out, I'm frustrated, I'm like running to my car on Fridays because I'm so glad the weekend is here. What do you say to a person like that?
I always tell people to really stop and step out of your life
Yeah,
and then look at your life. There's so much for all of us to be grateful for. Think about it. If you got a job, you're great. Be grateful for the job you have. And
yeah,
then what role and what value do you play in making it a better place that you enjoy coming to? And sometimes you just have to step out and look into your life to see some things. Take a look at how your approach is and what your mindset is about your life. Like you always talk about, you want to have an effective life,
yeah,
that you don't want to have to take a vacation from. And so
yeah,
what are the things in your life and what adjustments can you make even when you start that Monday off? Do you start your Monday off thinking this is going to be a great week for me and I'm
yeah,
expecting something great to happen? And if you
yeah,
keep that attitude, something will happen that is going to be amazing. And
yeah,
so then by the time you get to Wednesday, you open up the door to say, hey, I got 2 more days for something great, something else great to happen, right?
yeah,
So the expectation will change your perspective about how you see your week coming up. And I
yeah.
think that's so important to step back and take a look at what's going on.
Step back and take a look. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, and I'm joined with my good friend, Rosemary Winbush. We're talking tonight on a subject that I believe is going to be very necessary and helpful for a lot of people in the times we're living in. On this beautiful Wednesday evening, so much is happening in our world, but you're here and you're watching us. Do me a favor, like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook, share. Now, Pastor Rosemary, I'm gonna call you Pastor Rosemary, your Coach Rosemary, your spiritual mother, your prophetess. You're an amazing woman of God. How do we stay fearless in Christ? How do we stay fearless in times of trouble? I want us to dive into that as our focus this evening. What's your view there on the whole concept of staying fearless?
Well, I really think staying fearless means that we try to subtract as much fear as we can and multiply our faith and trust. And so when we start thinking about, what is it that I'm anxious about and what paralyzes me sometimes that I can't move forward, then once you get a handle on those things and you have an awareness, you can kind of subtract some of those fears and then start self-talking as much as you can, how you can be in a place where faith is predominant in your life and that you trust God more than you trust even your own thoughts and your own actions. It says, don't trust yourself. Lean into God's understanding, and He'll acknowledge your ways and direct your path and all of those things. So sometimes we just have to really think about what is it that we are anxious about? What is it that we're fearful of so that we can maintain being fearless?
Yeah,
Now there's two concepts to that.
yeah,
You can be fearless, meaning
yeah,
that you trust God and you're going to do some things that you've never done before because you trust him and he's with you. So he's in front of you, he's behind you, he's around you, and he's inside of you, right? And then you can fear less, meaning you reduce the types of fear that you have in your life so that as you reduce them, you begin to grow your faith. The faith is there, you just have to let it blossom and let it come forth.
Tell us a little bit about your faith journey. When did it all begin for you?
Well, for me, I tell people all the time, I had a great opportunity to talk to some people about my past a few weeks ago. But I grew up in a small town and my grandfather was a pastor of a church. So we were always, engaged in ministry in some form or fashion. My father used to sing in what they call back then a quartet. My mom taught Sunday school, and my grandmother and grandfather, they were, doing the work of the Lord in their church. And so as a kid, we were always there doing whatever my grandfather needed us to do, whether he said, you got to sing in the choir, you got to clean up the church, whatever it was. So for me, my faith journey was really something that was really all my life. I've never really grown up in a household that did not know faith like some people. So I had that advantage of having a family that exposed me to my faith at a very early age. And so as I began to, do what I was doing in church and seeing my parents serve, I think I just adopted and received that servant's heart. And I always just saw what they did to help people. I saw the transformation in people. And I wanted to be a part of doing something like that. I wanted to be a part of transforming lives. And I always say that our purpose should be tied into people, because if our purpose is tied into people, our purpose would mean something more when we leave this planet.
Wow, that is so good. That is so good. Somebody said Jesus never built a building, but he built people. He developed people.
Yeah.
And, it's amazing how the work continues because he did it right. And there's so much we can learn from that, right?
Yes, absolutely. So much that we can learn. His Jesus's life, my husband always says, is a demo of what we're supposed to be doing on the earth. So we just really pay attention to the scriptures, pay attention to what he did, and just follow that way of life and that purpose and that goal. Then I believe the planet would be much better. Of course, we know that, but just really realizing that everyone has a purpose and everyone can change someone's life. Most of the time, what I have, somebody needs, and what someone else has, I may need it. And what we all have will make all of us better.
That is so good. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I'm joined with Rosemary Winbush. We're diving in on how do you stay fearless. I'm interested to pick her brain and discover the truths that she have acquired over the years, because the Bible said the truth will set you free. Now, when you look back over your life and you've seen principles that clearly have helped guide you along the way, what would you say a few practical things that has caused you not to lose yourself in this world that is so busy? Because, you text somebody, you call somebody, you meet with somebody, and they say, I don't have enough time, and they'll tell you, oh my Lord, my life is all over the place. Why is your life all over the place when that don't have to be the reality? So what are some of the principles that you found to be the rock that helped you not to lose yourself in the busyness of the world that we're in? Because one could lose themselves in the busyness of the world.
Yeah, for me, I really try to stay hungry for God. And I try to stay in God's presence. That means that I have to intentionally plan on being a part of what God is doing and letting him be a part of what he wants me to do. Not what I want to do, but what he wants me to do. So and this hunger for God, I can look around and I can see, like you said, there's so many things going on. There's so many things you can get involved in. We could be doing, people like us, we could be doing something all the time. But if we don't intentionally plan on spending time with God, being hungry for his word, being hungry for what he has for us, then we'll get out of sync. We'll be unbalanced. And we won't be productive. Sometimes people tell me, oh, you're so busy. I said, no, I'm not busy. I'm productive. And so I want to make sure that when I do what I do, I see progress, I see change, I see solutions, and I see sustainability in the lives of people. And I think that hunger and staying in God's presence very often and intentionally is what helps me the most.
Wow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're diving into this talk. I want you to prepare yourself to take some notes as we finish this conversation with some real core challenges that I find that a lot of people on their journey to living life effectively oftentimes is challenged with. I want you to check out this commercial and we'll be right back. We're going to talk more about how do you stay fearless. Check this out. Welcome back to another exciting conversation happening here on Effective Living YouTube and Facebook channel. I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, and I'm joined with none other than Rosemary Winbush out of Jacksonville, Florida. Now, you and your husband have a number of things going on. Talk to our viewing audience a little bit about what y'all have going on, and people, they need to connect.
Well, we actually run two companies. We
Yeah.
started one in 2021, and we've had one for about 27 years. It's Kairos International and WRW International LLC. And so our whole mission for our businesses is to help people maximize their divine purpose so that they can see success in their lives. And we do that through teaching, training, coaching. I have several books that are out, but we love working with individuals and mentoring them so that they can have a what we call building better lives, right? So we're all about that, and we keep the Word of God as a foundation for everything that we do, because we know those principles won't fail. And so it is a surefire way for you to see success in your life when you follow the plans that God has given us for living, and for our families, and for our professional lives as well. So doing things with people in the marketplace, but helping people leverage their faith in the marketplace and seeing kingdom purposes in the marketplace is so key, because I think we have kind of stepped away from that. And so that's what we're really about. And, we're on social media. We have our websites as well. You can catch us by our full names like rosemarywinbush.com, or you can look at WRW International LLC.com as well. But we're all about that. We travel around. My husband still does a lot of things with the armed forces, speaking and training with them for pre and post deployment. And I'm out there doing what I do, and that's truly building better lives, doing mentorship, training leaders in churches and in business, and just a lot of different things. I'm also doing some real estate too. Could you believe that?
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been talking a lot about, in my exclusive group coaching community, I've been talking a lot about structuring your life to become one with how you want to show up in the world. I think that you guys represent that really well, you and your husband. And I'm looking forward to the day I'm able to spend a few days with y'all, because I'm going to pick your brains,
All right, we're ready. Good, we're
Now,
ready.
let's talk about fear. The Bible tells us God has not given us the spirit of fear, but a lot of people still grasp with fear. What do you think is the root cause of that? What feeds fear, in your opinion? Or why do so many people struggle with it when God hasn't given us the spirit of fear?
I think people struggle with fear because of uncertainty. And you know what? There's in the NIV version, it says, we think about that scripture in Second Timothy 1:7. And most of the time we always say God has not given us a spirit of fear. But NIV says the spirit God gave us does not make us timid. In some translations, it'll say fearful or even coward, right? And so I think sometimes our fears are attached to uncertainty and also failure. Uh, and one of the big things about what I tell people, stay fearless, I say that sometimes, is really being prepared. When you're prepared, it takes away some of the anxiety, the fears that you may have, because you're ready and you have all the things necessary that will make you in your own flesh feel comfortable. But what's most important is that we have God with us, and He won't fail, and He will not put us in situations where this fear will come upon us and take us over. So anytime you feel like you're super fearful of something, you can be assured that it is not of God. And then you have to question yourself, why do I feel this fearful? Or why does fear rise up in me in such a way? And when you can tackle that, you have an awareness of it and you can deal with it. But you always have to know it's not from God, because He wants to give you that love and that self-assurance and that power and the sound mind. And those three combat the fear. So I
Yeah.
think that uncertainty and being failing at something really stems a lot of fear in people. Yeah.
Wow. Growing up in the Bahamas, I didn't realize that there were some generational ideas that were passed down
Mhm.
that actually I had to shake later. Self inspection. How important is it for self inspection, self reflection? Just just really starting to look at the very root, because a lot of people, Pastor Rosemary, they're stuck.
Mm,
And they're stuck because of the spirit of fear, but they don't realize that it's rooted in some generational stuff.
right.
You know, there's some. What's your view there?
Yeah, there is some things like that that are passed down to us through the generations. But once you, the big key is once you recognize what it is, you can deal with it. And I always tell people ask questions because when we ask questions about our past, we ask God questions about. Sometimes you have to say, "Why do I feel like this? Why is this happening? Why am I stuck? What's going on with me?" When you start asking the questions and you be still, you'll begin to hear the answers, and then the question would be, do you want to deal with the answers that you're hearing? And a lot of times, most people, they might get the answers of why things are happening, but they still don't want to deal with them. They don't want to deal with the hard uh, and challenging things that come with coming out of fear, coming out of being stuck, putting that next taking that next step to do something. And I think that when you can get in communities like this, and you can get into the like effective living coaching or whatever you're doing, where you can get engage with someone that can help you to take that next step. And when you do it, you're going to find that the next step after that and the next step after that become easier and easier because you're with someone that is going to help you move through it and also encourage you as you try to tackle those things that are making you fearful in your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, wisdom to hold on to, principles to grab, and just lock in on. Because when you hear these truths, here's the deal: what you don't want to do is you don't want to become familiar with it to the point where you don't engage, you don't apply, you don't make a commitment to do. Okay, if your life is going to change for the better, when you hear the principle, you got to commit to doing the principle that you've heard. All right, Pastor Rosemary, I wrote this book, Effective Living, and I was thinking when I wrote the book, I started talking about faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun.
Mhm.
There's a little bit of fear attached to all of them. There are some people, and they're fearful of giving it all to God.
Mm.
I was like, oh, I love the Lord, but I don't want to go all in. Well, what is your relationship with the Lord if you're not all in, right?
Right,
Hey,
right.
hey, and then maybe somewhere along the line, when we talk about families, somebody did them wrong, and the whole trust factor has now said, I don't trust anybody, and I don't trust family, and I'm not doing life with people, and now they're fearful for people. Then you got those people, oh, it's tax time. And oh my Lord, I'm afraid of the IRS. I'm afraid of what my taxes is going to be on my house. Oh my, I'm afraid of the rising prices of inflation and so forth. And then there's others. What's going on in their bodies?
Mm.
There's this fear in regards to health. You're not as young as you used to be. You're starting to feel a little pain in the ankle and the wrist and the fingers. You start to you
Right.
start to not remember names like you did, or whatever. Just whatever it is that could be plaguing you in that. It may not even be you. It could be somebody else being challenged, and now you allow what they're going through to bring about a level of fear on you.
Right.
And then, Pastor Rosemary, some people, they go on a cruise, they don't know how to have fun. They go to a party, they don't know how to dance. They go to a comedy show, they don't know how to let their hair. And they just don't know how to, they don't know. It's like, hey, watch this. I don't know how to have fun to the point where now people are going to be like, I don't want people to think. And so here's the deal.
Mhm.
You kill fun because you're so fearful of what people think. There are a lot of people like that, right?
Yes, there are.
you know, I'll tell you this. My wife and I, we've been going to these different events, and two events specifically comes to mind right now. A guy who has been at both of these events, and the first one, like 3 months earlier, he came over and he says, "Hey, I just want this table to know this is y'all party. Y'all have been invited. Why y'all so loud over here?" He said, "Y'all a little bit much over here." And then fast forward 3 months later, we're at another event of similar. We're all this a different table. And he came over. He said, "I must let you know. Anytime I come to another event and you're here, I'm coming to your table, okay? Because y'all are too loud over here." Some people won't give themselves to the moment
Mm.
because of fear. What you say? What do you have to say to those people who are holding them back? Faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. There is some fear that is built in all of them to the point where they can't live life effectively because fear has them at the trough.
I always tell people, get over that because that's not living. That is, I always say this, the Bible says, uh, man was not made for the Sabbath, but the Sabbath was made for man, right?
Correct.
So it's the
Yeah.
same thing like that. All of these great gifts were
Yeah.
made for us to
Yes.
enjoy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not for them to control us.
Yeah.
So if you allow, people to control you and how you feel and how you want to enjoy what God has given you, that's not living.
Yeah.
If you want to let your money, you're worried about your money and how what your taxes are going to be,
Yeah.
and you if you do what's right, you don't have to worry about anything, right?
Correct.
so
Correct.
so
Yeah.
enjoy everything that God has prepared for us, because guess what? We are going through this journey one time.
Yeah.
And when you get to the end of this journey, you don't want to look back and say, I wish I could have done this. I could have had this. I could have experienced this. So I'm all about experiencing as much as I can and enjoying as many people as I can and
Yeah.
exploring and traveling and doing whatever it is that I believe God will allow me to do, and enjoy the moment, because that is good for the soul. And you can think about people who you just mentioned that say, they're so concerned about what everybody else is thinking. They probably don't have as much joy in life as the person that is at your table making all the noise. So you got to put yourself in a place of, when are you going to let go of some things so you can grab a hold of some other things that you can enjoy most in life? And sometimes if you've always been that way, it's hard to make that adjustment. But then you have to ask yourself, what's more important? Me enjoying what God intended for me to enjoy, or me worrying about and being concerned about the things that really don't matter? The opinions of other people, they really don't matter.
Wow.
The
The
the thing, yeah.
opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's
I,
kinda
I,
like
I
just
like
letting go.
I like that so much. One of the things that I made a commitment to do at the beginning of this year, and it was a struggle. It wasn't always easy. It's still a struggle sometimes. And I said, this is strong. I was doing a radio show in the Bahamas, and I told them my goal in 2023, one of my goals, is to not allow the opinions or the thoughts of other people's opinion of me to govern me up to, I don't want to care about 90% of the opinions.
Mm,
I don't want to care about 90% of the opinions. I want to govern my behavior without 90% of it being centered on opinions. And so the host in the Bahamas, she said, "Why you say 90 and not 100?" She said, "I want to be 100." I said, "Well, I still work for somebody."
right. Yeah,
I'm
right.
married to somebody, right? I'm married. I am parenting. There are some things I still have to think others. But for
Yes.
the vast majority of things, you know how many people are paralyzed because what my neighbors will think, what the people I work with will think. Oh my God, what will they think on social media? What will they think at the family reunion? And it's like by the time you finish with what others think, you are not even living
Mm.
anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're talking about how do you stay fearless. I want you to check this out. We're going to be right back. I want you to know you are responsible for the life you create. Don't allow anyone or anything to suck the life out of you. Check this out. We'll be right back. living life on your terms. That's a part of living life effectively. When I say your terms, I'm talking about your terms in that of how the Creator intended for you to live. Okay? Now, here's the deal. It is possible for you to be called to do something where there's no reference point. Okay? You can't look at your cousins because your cousins weren't called to do it. You can't look at your coworkers. They weren't called to do it. You can't go to church and somebody at your church is called to do it. You can't go and, can God, watch this, Miss Rosemary, can God trust you to do something that there's no reference point? There is no someone has done it before. Can you be a David to tell a king, I can't use that sword? I can't use your sword. I can't use your shield. But I understand that generations have used the sword and the shield. And I understand the king's sword is the best sword out here. And the king's shield is the best shield out here. But I'm going to decline that. And I'm going my way.
Right.
The way that I feel God has inspired me to kill a giant. Now, when we talk fearless, what do you think about that whole David scenario and declining the option of the common, popular, dominant way of that day and saying no thank you? What you got to say?
I say that's really embracing your purpose.
Yeah.
Because when you think about you not doing everything the way someone else is doing it, that's your fingerprint. That's your uniqueness about the way God intended for you to do it. And so when you start trying to do something the way somebody else does, and God didn't tell you to do it, it's not going to work the right way, because that's not embracing your purpose. And when you do that too, you become confident in who you are, confident in who God created you to be, confident to even forge forward to do what you're supposed to do in your own life. And I think we miss out a lot of times because we are not really focused in on our own purpose. We are always looking over here. And I think social media does that a lot too, because we can look at what everybody else is doing. And I see people start things, and because they see somebody else doing them, and I say to them, did God tell you to do that? Is that part of your purpose? And they're like, no, but I thought it looked good. I said, well, no, what is he telling you to do? So you got to have those sharpened ears to hear and to know and be confident in what's your purpose. And I think that helps us to stay fearless as well, because when you know what you're created to do, and you understand what God is calling you to do, and it takes away a little bit of that fear because you're so assured about what you're supposed to do. I'm very confident in what God told me to do. I'm not trying to do it the way you do it. I'm not trying to do it down the way my neighbor does it. I'm not trying to do it the way anybody else is doing it. I'm trying to do it the way he told me, because I know if I do it the way I'm supposed to do it, that's when I'm going to see the results that I really want to see. And you can't be afraid of doing what God has told you to do because you see somebody else doing it a different way. You see what they're gaining or getting. But I can tell you this, if you do it God's way, you're going to get what you're supposed to get. You're going to be satisfied with it. And you're going to see this huge amount of confidence that will come upon you, because now you know you're flowing in your passion and you're flowing in your purpose. And that's amazing to me to see people do that.
I totally agree. The challenge here, ladies and gentlemen, is you have to decide this is the way you're going to live. Now, here's the deal. Everybody else may be doing it another way, but can you trust the God in you to do it the way that he is telling you, even when it's not popular? Now, thinking back about David, David, brother, had to say, hey, man, why aren't you with them, stinky sheep? Okay. You just came here to bring us some bread and cheese, man. Leave. You're so inquisitive. You little knucklehead. You always ask some questions when you should not. But look at that. Deliverance was built in a question being asked by a brave boy who wasn't afraid to go against an older brother. Mm-hmm. Now, and I know that even back then, the whole concept of an older brother telling you something, or older brothers suggesting that why are you here should have shut David up. But there are some people who have to now pray for the confidence that David had on that day to say, hey, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the guy who kills the giant? And then, then to be brave enough to say, I can do it. I can do it. Man, you got to you to think of his brother. And then to hear the king says, but he was a man of war from his youth. and you can't go up against him. Someone is going to speak to you to decline your take to discourage you from taking advantage of an opportunity. Pastor Rosemary, when you think about that whole view of someone being prepared to speak up, let's talk about that for a few minutes. Learning to speak up when needing to speak up, no matter who it is. Because here's the deal, it's the king. It's the king. As a matter of fact, man, listen, I'm a loyalist, okay, and I'm one who's very inclined to respect and honor authority as well. As a matter of fact, I train and teach my team around me. I say, hey, I'm a man in authority, and I'm a man under authority. I am very comfortable bowing when it's not my house, when it's not my time, when it's not my stage, when it's not my platform, when it's not my moment. I'm very inclined to be like, hey, in this space, I'm under authority. But please know that there is a place where I'm in authority and I know the difference. And but to know that even that you can acquire that you can acquire moments where, you know, you're under authority and you can still speak up.
Right.
Because some people don't know how to speak up to authority. Authority, some people never knew how to disagree with their parents. And I'm talking about when they're not right. Clearly, mom is not right. Clearly, dad wasn't right. And you're an adult now, but you don't even know how to disagree. The
Right.
boss isn't right, but you don't know how to disagree. The mayor isn't right, but you don't know how to disagree. You know what I'm saying? And some people, oh, it's authority. And for some reason, David was able to build up the courage to say, unfortunately, King, thank you for the offer, but I'm going to decline. I can't use that. What's your view there? What's your suggestion there? What would you say to our viewing audience about learning to be fearless in dealing with authority figures, learning to speak up for yourself?
I think speaking to people in authority, you have to understand too, you have a position in authority, like you just said as well. And knowing the right words and how to make the approach. It's like how to bring the plane in for the landing so you get a
Yeah,
smooth landing. You know, sometimes when you get on a plane and they land that plane, you're like, oh my gosh, it's like that was the worst landing because it's so bumpy, right?
yeah,
But then you get on a plane and then the smooth landing, it hits the
yeah,
runway.
yeah,
You probably don't even know you're there. Sometimes we can talk to people and be so bold and tell them what we want to do and it cut them at the same time and they don't even
uh,
know that we've done
yeah,
it because our
yeah,
word choices and the way that we do it is so eloquent,
yeah,
but it's meaningful. And I think a lot of times when we don't speak up, when we need to speak up, we suffer, but not only us, that somebody else is going to suffer as well. Might be your next generations, it might be your coworker, it might be uh somebody that's in your community when you don't speak up and something happened. So you got to know when it's the right time to speak up. And when it is the right time to speak up, know that you're not alone when you're speaking. Just like David knew he wasn't alone when he was saying he was going to uh, kill that Philistine, right? He knew
yeah,
he wasn't alone. He knew that God was standing with him. So there's something on the inside of each of us when we are believers that is more powerful than anything on the outside of us. And if God is for you, who can be against you? So be bold and speak up when God is telling you to speak up, because when he tells us to speak, it's going to create something in the atmosphere that will create a change for the better. And you got to trust him with what he might be telling you to say, but ask him how to say it.
yeah,
That I think that's the really fearful thing. People don't know how to say what they want to say because
yeah,
they may have been in situations like you said from growing up that they never learn how to have confrontations and have them in a productive way, but they always were very argumentative or they were very bullyish, and so they find themselves not knowing how to do it because they have never been taught. So I would suggest to some people, get someone to help you, even go YouTube something about conflict resolution. How do you
resolution. Yeah,
talk to people? How do you solve issues? And
yeah,
what are the right tones and the right words to say? Because there is always a right way to say something, so people will, they don't always might want to like what you said, but they'll respect what you said by the way that you said it.
wow. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I've thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with Rosemary Winbush. The goal was to help you to tap into the fact that if you're going to get what you need to get out of this year, you're going to have to push through a level of fear that you may have never pushed through before. Fearless living is effective living. Fearless living is effective living. Okay? You're going to have to tap into it. Rosemary Winbush, if you can give us your closing remarks in regards to persons deciding to embrace the whole concept of not living life in a withdrawn state because of fear. It's clear. They know it. The people that's around them knows it. And it is holding them back from maximizing their potential. It's the David standing afar off, but he don't want to raise his hands. It is, it is the Joseph in prison, and he's afraid to declare what the dream interpret because he's afraid he'll just be used. I'm never going to offer my service to anybody anymore because of what is happening. Fear, by any means, has to be looked into. What do you say in closing before we bring our talk to a close?
I would say to every person in the sound of our voices, there is something great on the inside of you. And the great thing that's on the inside of you can't just live on the inside of you. It needs to be brought out so that other people can see it and you can explore it for yourself. And the only person that wants to instill fear in you is the enemy. It is not God, because we just said that scripture said the spirit that God has given us is not one of fear, it's not one of timidity, it's not one of being a coward, because you want to expose what God has put inside of you. And guess what? When you begin to flow in your purpose and you begin to see the greatness on the inside of you, you're going to really enjoy your life at a different level, at a greater level, because now you know this great thing that God placed inside of you. It is for a purpose. It is it is a part of making his kingdom into the place that gives him glory. All of what God has put in each of us is something that is necessary and needed for those around us. We all fit together in this great big puzzle of life. And when one person is holding back on the gift that they have, the talent that they have, that God has placed in the inside of you, we cannot be unified in such a way that we see the totality of what God wants to do with us as his people. So I just want to encourage you, don't be afraid to step out. Don't be afraid to share what you know. Don't be afraid to give your gift, share your gift with someone else. And don't let other people around you intimidate you to make you feel like they may be better and you're not quite there. Guess what? Everybody started at ground zero somewhere. And so wherever you start, there then begins a place where you can finish and finish well and finish strong. So don't let fear hold you back. Don't let it paralyze you. Be confident in what God has placed inside of you and go out and live your life victoriously.
That is the key, ladies. That's the key, gentlemen. Decide to go forth and just do it. Rosemary Winbush, if you can do me a favor, tell our viewing audience how they can get a hold of you guys again, and just talk about a little bit before we close. Some of the services that you offer, and if somebody definitely wants to connect with you, you've been such a blessing to my life over the years. I'm here to tell you, you're looking for a great speaker. You're looking for somebody to impact your life. And when you hear the services that she's offering, connect with her right away. Let me tell you something. When we were talking off air earlier, and I said, someone is assigned to help you. And oftentimes you can hear it in an interview. You can, that's the lady right now. I need to get in contact. And so when the Spirit of the Lord would give you that connection inside that you says, I need to connect with her. I need to read her book. I need to have her come speak. You need to do that, because guess what? That's where the deliverance is. That's where breakthrough is. That's where God will give you the David who shows up to kill the giant that you're needing to be addressed. So what do you say about the services that you offer and how people can contact you?
Well, we're about building better lives. We kind of tie in a little bit like what you're doing, but we offer, professional speaking, training, mentorship, whether it's in your personal, your professional, or your family life. We're there for you. We do a lot of marriage mentorship because I know a lot of times, people want to, get their marriage back on track, or they want to have a healthy marriage or just keep it maintained. So we have some products and services for that. And we also do, speaking in the corporate arena as well, whether it's peak performance, leadership training, those type things, we do that as well. I would tell you to go to my website, which is rosemarywinbush.com. That's the easiest place where you can connect with me. Even if you want any of the services, you can see what we offer there as well. And then we can get together and have a discovery call to see what it is that you need and how we can provide solutions and sustainability for you in your life as well. So we're excited about all that we do. And I want to say this to Ricardo Miller. You have been such a blessing to my life as well. And I have truly enjoyed knowing you all of these years and watching you do some extraordinary things to change the lives of people. So I would say keep that going. That's a great thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been another Effective Living conversation. Do me a favor, if you know someone that will enjoy this conversation and there's some things that they need from what we just shared, go ahead and just tag them, share it with them. This is a middle week. It's a Wednesday, and a lot of people just don't feel like they can make it through the rest of the week after what life has dealt with them over the past couple of days. Listen, you've got this. Okay, with the help of God, you got to remind yourself, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. So remind yourself, put it in the comment section, I got this. Good night, everybody. Pastor Rosemary Winbush, thank you so much again. The next time we talk, we need to come out and you need to bring your books and talk about the different books. And so we'll do a feature on your services and just really connect people with them, because I believe that there is enough work for all of us in the kingdom.
Yeah.
And there are people who need what you have that's a little bit different than what I bring. And there are some people who bring what I bring, somebody else just, And so the Bible says it this way. Jesus said, my sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. When you open your mouth, those who have been called to you will be attracted to you. So ladies and gentlemen, connect with her today. Thank you so much again. God bless you. Everyone, have a good night. Don't forget, share this with someone. Bye-bye.